I'm delighted to have you as part of this community. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome aboard as we set sail on a journey through Park Hill Recreation Ground. Park Hill Recreation Ground is a 15-acre park near the centre of Croydon, Greater London, managed by the London Borough of Croydon. It runs from Barclay Road to Coombe Road beside the railway line, with the main entrances on Water Tower Hill and Barclay Road. The nearest stations equidistant to the park are East Croydon to the north for Tramlink and National Rail services and South Croydon to the south for National Rail. The park was officially renamed as Park Hill in 1964. At the southern end, at the very top of the hill which forms the park, it joins the grounds of Coombe Cliff, once the home of members of the Horniman Tea family. From there a steep drive winds down to Coombe Road where a footpath leads to South Croydon railway station for National Rail. The grounds now form part of the park and are open to the public, but the house itself is not. It is used for educational purposes. Where the drive meets Coombe Road there is a further entrance and a gatehouse, which is now privately owned for residential purposes. The house is Grade II listed. Previously, the site was a reservoir, but in the years, it was transformed into a public park. The park offers various amenities such as refreshments, sports facilities, and a walled herb garden. In his memoirs, The Chronicles of Wasted Time 1973, Malcolm Muggeridge reminisces about the park being a childhood playground where he and his father would frequently walk together and engage in discussions about socialism and world affairs. In the upcoming section, we'll be dissecting Croydon Park and exploring its implications in greater detail. The recreation ground is the remnant of the Archbishop of Canterbury's Croydon Park. It was about 210 acres and was probably similar to today's Selsdon Wood Nature Reserve. It dates back to at least the 14th century, and in 1382 Sir William Walworth was appointed the park's keeper. On 28 April 1540 it was exchanged as part of a package to Henry VIII for Malling Abbey and other lands. It reverted back to Archbishop Cranmer soon after the king's death, by his will. By the 18th century Croydon Palace was no longer used, having fallen into a state of disrepair, and in 1726 the park was leased to William Bissick of Mitcham. It was cultivated into farmland, and in 1813 it was leased in 13 lots. As we progress, let's shine a spotlight on Reservoir and examine its intricate interplay within our topic. With the consent of his tenant Thomas Weaver, the Archbishop sold just over an acre of Bean Hill to Croydon's local Board of Health for a reservoir on to November 1850. The reservoir was an approximate brick cylinder zerm in diameter and zerm tall, with a zerm high domed roof. It had a stone floor and was lined with Portland cement. The reservoir was strengthened by 16 vertical ribs and covered with earth several feet thick that also kept the water at a constant temperature throughout the year. The brickwork also curved inwards between the ribs to help withstand the pressure from the water. It was designed by the board's consulting engineer William Ranger and built by the local builder William Harris. Water was pumped from a well at the newly constructed Surrey Street pumping station into the reservoir and provided the town with a constant supply of fresh piped water under gravity. The railway cutting meant that a wooden bridge had to be constructed to carry the cast iron water main from the well to the reservoir, where Barclay Road now crosses. The Surrey Street pumping station and reservoir were opened by the 71-year-old Archbishop John Bird Sumner on 11 December 1851. The party descended into the bottom of the reservoir by a temporary wooden staircase under candlelight to see the water pumped from the well arrive at the reservoir. The reservoir could hold 900,000 gallons and was estimated to supply the town with water for about 18 days. By April 1853, the town was consuming 450,000 gallons daily and gallons daily before the end of 1866. The reservoir was nevertheless useful in ensuring water could be supplied to households in the high areas of the town. By June 1866, water levels in the reservoir were low because demand exceeded supply and water was limited to certain daylight hours to allow the reservoir to refill sufficiently to reach households in the higher areas. The reservoir became redundant when the Russell Hill Reservoir at the south end of the Purley Way playing fields opened in 1923. Although the Park Hill Reservoir leaked, it was kept full during the Second World War for firefighting purposes. The reservoir remains roofless under the mound to the south of the later water tower. By 1971, the domed roof had become structurally unsafe and was demolished and the reservoir backfilled. Reservoir Hill, as it became known, was frequented by the public probably since before the reservoir was built and certainly by 1872 when a drinking fountain was vandalized. It was accessed by a footpath known as Lovers' Walk, part of today's Chichester Road and the nearby entrance to the recreation ground. In the upcoming section, we'll be shining a light on Croydon Water Tower. The park is the site of the historic Croydon Water Tower. It enabled the highest areas of the parish to be supplied with water and was designed by the Board of Health's engineer Baldwin Latham in Norman style with a bartizan or overhanging turret. Built in 1867 by John Thomas Chapel of Steyning, Sussex in brown brick, with red brick decoration to a height of zerm above the foundations. A 94,000-gallon brick tank in the base of the tower was connected to the reservoir and the water was pumped to a smaller 40,000-gallon wrought iron tank at the top by a horizontal rotary engine from the Northmoor Foundry Company of Oldham. The engine was located in an engine house slightly to the west of the tower. The engine was powered by steam from a pair of Field's patent vertical boilers from Bow. It ceased to provide water to higher areas of the borough by 1923, having become redundant when the Addington Reservoir supplied Croydon's high-level district from the Addington Well, which opened in 1888. The building is Grade II listed, but is deceased and not open to the public. The tower was open to the public in the Easter of 1889 as a viewing platform for a penny admission and opened for several years during the summer season after a safety rail was added and the stairs widened. The engine house was demolished in the ears and the wrought iron tank removed in 1971 with other fixtures and fittings. Now let's delve into the intricacies of recreation ground and explore its various aspects. The need for public open spaces had been recognized and after protracted discussions, which started in 1880, Croydon Corporation, the successor to the Croydon Local Board of Health, purchased 8 acres of Park Hill from the Ecclesiastical Commission for £4,000 sterling on 17 February 1887. The land stretched from Fairfield Road to Coombe Cliff and was connected to Reservoir or Water Tower Hill by a public right-of-way. A condition of the sale was that it should be preserved as a public recreation ground forever, along with it being fenced and the construction of the road on its northern boundary. These stipulations meant that £2,000 sterling had to be spent on the park, which also included turf, tree planting and tar-paved footpaths. The recreation ground was laid out by the corporation's road surveyor Mr. Powell, but work did not start until the end of the year when it was vacated by the tenant Mrs. Flower at Park Hill Farm, the site of today's Park Hill Infant and Junior Schools. The recreation ground was officially opened on 11 July 1888. 40 seats were subsequently provided and a bandstand was donated by Councillor Fahrenheit T. Edridge in 1889. As previously mentioned, the size of the recreation ground was increased with the addition of the Coombe Cliff grounds in 1930. Our focus now turns to Coatlands, an important aspect of our discussion. Coatlands is a small park near Park Hill, also managed by the London Borough of Croydon. It covers an area of 0.2 hectares. It is really just a green on the corner of Coatlands and the Avenue, next to Park Hill Junior School and near Archbishop Tennyson's School. Moving forward, we'll be taking a closer look at Gallery. Park Hill, Croydon Walled Garden, part of the Walled Garden, Water Tower in the background, Coombe Cliff House, Park Hill, Croydon, a Coombe Cliff House, Park Hill, Croydon, looking north from Coombe Cliff, upper part of the main park looking north from Coombe Cliff. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this video.